a main difference between the combat shirts and your field tops, right? A lot of guys just want to go to this stuff. And you know, they're looking at Delta, SEAL, freaking CQB guys that just kick indoors, murder everybody, and freaking get back on a helicopter and get out of there. They don't get stuck on site, they call the grunts. Guys like us to come out there and sleep in the dirt for 3 days to get stuck on site. They go back to the chow hall 20 minutes after the mission. You're losing all the freaking ruggedness. Like, this stuff will get absolutely destroyed. And just walking through regular bushes. Welcome guys to the briefing room. Doing something inside today because it's hot as balls, and I even turned off my redneck AC so you guys can hear me. So let's see how long we go till this place turns into an oven. So today we're talking about combat shirts and outdoor field shirts. We're gonna talk about some differences, similarities, and clear up some confusion, but we gotta talk about the benefits of each one. I've seen some people running around maybe making the wrong choices, so let's try to clear some things up. So we got all kinds of gear, right? So this isn't a specific product push, all right? But this is one of the Helicontex combat shirts, all right? It's pretty new. You can still see some of the sheen on there. I've been playing with it for a couple days. The one I went to Afghanistan with, the multicam, and I ripped the top collar off because it bugged the crap out of me. But there's your standard combat shirt, all right? You may notice you've got basically mesh, or kind of like a synthetic stretchy material, all right, among the whole torso. And then your arms have almost like your regular combat top for sleeves, okay? So why? Well, the combat shirt, the main purpose is because for the last 20 plus years, we've been running around in plate carriers, IBAs, IOTVs, all that junk, right? Walking around in bomb suits. Once it's about 90 plus degrees, and over in Iraq where it's well over 100 all the time, that sucks, okay? So we tried to figure out a way to get some airflow, ventilation, moisture wicking, and just try to cool off there, right? Because the plate carriers are a hell of a lot better, but like I was in Ramadi with a freaking Woodland IBA, okay? With a regular ACU top and the IBA in 100-degree temperatures, it was absolutely miserable. So the combat shirt, that is the purpose of it, all right? You've got very stretchy, comfortable material. If you're outside in just a combat shirt, you can almost wear it like I've been doing yard work. I'm wearing it for my sun shirt, all right? Cover everything up. I don't deal with sunscreen and all that crap. It's very light, and then you just get insane breezes through this mesh. Feels great. And then whenever you sit down in the shade, dump some water on you, get this all wet, you're good to go, man. And then while you're wearing your plate carrier, you know, it helps a little bit, especially with a lot of the modern plate carriers. They have this small little mesh layer on the inside, and that basically just pushes it off of your skin just enough to where you can get some airflow in there, all right? So if you haven't tried both, if you got a buddy that's got an old IOTV or something like that, you should be comfortable in your combat shirt and your own plate carrier, hopefully with the mesh stuff. So go try your buddy's old crap and go run around in that in the summer, and you'll see a massive difference. Plus, with this very thin, stretchy material, the sweat is not magically disappearing, but it's not pulling up in your mostly cotton shirt and just hanging out there crammed all up against your torso. After a couple weeks in the summer of wearing your plate carrier, IBA, whatever, and then your regular top, the sweat has nowhere to go. All the salt you're losing has nowhere to go, so it eventually just gets stuck. So a lot of guys would experience what we call a heat rash, where your skin just gets irritated, all right? So it's just too much heat for a long time in one area, combined with the moisture. And then you also got the salt in your sweat, which kind of like digs into the skin. So that brings up the point of maintenance. At least try to keep your tops clean, and you know, throw them in a stream, like dump some water on them, wring them out, try to get some of that crap out of there. After a couple weeks, when you know your plate carrier starts to get full of all this stuff, even with that mesh panel on the inside, try to hose it down, you know, or get a soaking wet rag and just scrub the crap out of it. Try to get those salt crystals out of there and just get some of that gunk out of there. Maintenance is very important, guys. Your sleeves are kind of like your regular field top. Because think about this, all right? So if you're crawling around out in the woods, going through sticker brushes, thick underbrush, manzanitas, just horrible terrain, with your plate carrier on, it basically covers most of this, but your sleeves are exposed, and while you're crawling doing all this stuff, you need the heavier, you know, some of them are canvas, a lot of them are like a 60-40 cotton synthetic mix, like your field tops, and you need that ruggedness in your sleeves, all right? And even with the tougher material, you'll still see guys tear the crap out of that stuff. What I liked about the original multicam top was they had these very light elbow pads built into them. We all hated wearing the giant freaking Army issue elbow pads, just miserable, especially in the heat. And really, you just need a little bit of padding so you're not banging your elbows off on the doors, going into buildings and stuff like that. Maybe you got to elbow a dude in the head. Or if you get down and go prone, just this tiny little bit of protection, it makes a big difference. All right, so that's the Army multicam combat shirt. Here's the Army ACU UCP crap freaking combat shirt, and I cut the collar off again. Now, with my IBA not having a collar, I was fine, but for some reason the plate carriers, I actually like to have the collar on there. That's why I like these tops, because you can open it up, get some ventilation, and then you've also got a lip up here, kind of protect your neck from the sun a little bit. But I think the best selling point of these is so, you know, you got a plate carrier on and a ruck, something's gonna be hitting your neck, right? But I was a dummy and cut these off immediately, and boo-hoo, it sucked for me later. But the OCP version, it's pretty much the same, just the best pattern ever created. Now, they're also a lot lighter. Your cotton synthetic mix part, like on your sleeves, it's usually got the FR capabilities, which the FR mostly comes from the material mixture, right? I'm not sure if the Army actually treats their stuff with it besides the actual FR clothing that crewmen use. That stuff is treated. But basically you can get flame resistance from more cotton stuff. That's why we like what we call doomsday canvas. Very heavy woven freaking cotton. That's where your basic FR stuff comes from. Now with your combat shirt, this synthetic stuff, that'll melt right to you. So you kind of lose that FR capability with that. All right, so ACU combat shirt, get this off to the side. So the reason why I want to show all this stuff is I just want to show you guys options. Military surplus is probably still your best go-to. I do have some civilian stuff to talk about. It's military in nature, but it's not military surplus, like the Helicontex. So military surplus, you're gonna get it cheaper, easier. You're gonna get more options. But I will show you a couple of other options. All right, so let's go back in time. It's the original BDU coat. This is a 60-40 cotton mix. This was like one of my first tops ever. Now these are still outstanding tops. BDU is a great pattern. It fits into almost anything. And then as we know, you gilly wash your shit to wherever you're at anyway. You can just get some freaking glue on patches. If you want some patches on there, get some glue on Velcro. And you've got these pockets here. The main bummer is no shoulder pockets, okay? So that was our biggest complaint. But otherwise, I still wear these all the time. Good stuff. And then we'll go to a slightly lighter version. Look at that. PFC dumbass. This was my first uniform in Baghdad. Oh, I got a rip in it. Bummer. This is where we had to sew on our own glint tape. And it still works, by the way, from 2003. It'll still reflect IR. Very cool. This is also when we had the flag on the bottom. People yell at me for that. Like, dude, that was the standard back then. So basically, like your BDU top, it is woven just slightly lighter, right? There's a little bit less cotton in there, and it's just a little bit lighter, which also means it's not as tough, okay? But still a decent top. Rothko makes some really good stuff. So if you're looking for non-military surplus, but you want military style stuff, Rothko makes very good uniform stuff. And it's the same cotton synthetic blend as the actual Army equivalent, all right? So Tiger Stripe, you guys have seen this a whole bunch. I love these, but similar coat. And then we've got the regular multicam top that I got for Afghanistan. So this was before we went to OCP. That's that multicam pattern. And this was when we were still copying the ACU freaking tops with this bullshit Velcro that just becomes useless. But on these, we still had an insert where you could throw your freaking light elbow pad in there, and I actually love those. In Ramadi, I kept my little flexible, thin elbow pad in there all the time because concrete hurts on your elbows, believe it or not. And then you just got these slanted pockets, which if you're wearing a plate carrier or a vest, you're most likely not going to use that anyway. Also lighter than the OCP, like garrison top we would usually use, which means it's also not as resilient, and they're treated with permethrin, right? So apparently you only get a certain amount of washes out of there. Most of us never paid attention to it. Permethrin never worked for me anyway, so I quit caring about it. So then we got the OCP tops, and then shortly after, they came out with the Army hot weather uniform. I forgot the proper nomenclature, but I've actually done a video specifically on this uniform, and it is outstanding. It's just a little bit lighter. I don't have the garrison top, that's what we call it. But it's a little bit lighter than that. It's still pretty tough, but of course it's not as tough. Very breathable. And what they've done was they've made it as thin and light as possible in all the avenues they can. And then they just put reinforcements where it needs to be. So up here on the elbows, that's not an elbow pad insert, that's just extra reinforcement. And this reminds me of when I went to Army Sniper School. We made our own ghillie suits with using our BDU tops and bottoms, and we would take a piece of canvas off of our old duffel bags, and we would make our own little reinforced elbow parts. And then we would put strips all the way down our pants as well. So that's kind of cool to see that reinforcement already come on the uniform. They went back to buttons, outstanding. And yeah, I cut the Velcro crap off there. I didn't need it there. And then they also got rid of all the pockets on the front, because you're probably not gonna use it anyway. Like all the crap we're wearing, whether it's a plate carrier or just a friggin' chest rig or tap or whatever, I don't ever have anything here anymore in pockets, all right? So I'm cool with that. All right, a main difference between the combat shirts and your field tops, all right? A lot of guys just want to go to this stuff. And you know, they're looking at Delta, SEAL, freaking CQB guys that just kick in doors, murder everybody, and freaking get back on a helicopter and get out of there. They don't get stuck on site, they call the grunts. Guys like us to come out there and sleep in the dirt for 3 days to get stuck on site. They go back to the chow hall 20 minutes after the mission. We are crawling through horrible terrain, all right? This is where your regular field tops come in. There might be times, like when I'm out here doing heavy work in the SEER challenge where we're crawling around in just garbage freaking terrain, I can't wear a combat shirt, all right? So today I've been doing yard work, it's 100 freaking degrees, and I want the breathability, I'm not crawling around or anything like that. So I love the airflow, and I don't need reinforcement everywhere, okay? But let's say I was gonna go do some reconnaissance patrol or an OP or just go screw around in the woods. I would probably switch to one of these because this is so light and breathable, you're losing all the friggin' ruggedness. Like this stuff will get absolutely destroyed. And just walking through regular bushes, just go walking through some bushes, this stuff will get destroyed after a while. So something to think about. A lot of guys are buying these and just going out and trying to kick indoors and do all this crazy stuff with them, not realizing that that $120 fancy combat shirt you bought, it might last like 2 or 3 missions before it's gone. So something to consider, guys. And you have to kind of weigh that with the weather, the terrain, the mission, med TC. You gotta freaking weigh that, what you're going to do. So now let's say I don't want to go Rambo-like, and I'm gonna go hiking, there might be some other people around. I want the lightest, most comfortable freaking non-rugged thing that exists in my wardrobe. I want something like this. This is basically like a UPF shirt. You could just This is from a company called Solognac, French company. They don't make this anymore. I'm sorry. So many people asked on the review video, they don't make them anymore. But just search for UPF sun shirt, something like that. Maybe type in rugged or something, and you'll get something like this. So basically, this is like light work, you know, hiking. If I'm doing yard work, again, I'll throw this on sometimes. Light as hell, and just, it's like wearing a friggin', yeah, you know, it's a summer shirt like you put on your kids so they don't get burned up. Problem is, it's very light and breathable because I don't think there's any cotton at all, okay? So, you're not hanging around a campfire with this. You're not doing all your bushcrafting stuff, all right? Because it'll just start melting on you, all right? I wouldn't even get close to heat with this freaking thing. But just out there screwing around, it's badass. And then what made this company so awesome with this is all the vent holes and mesh and the armpits and all that. And then a giant oversized collar to protect your neck, so your neck's not getting burned up. I noticed even with a big old boonie hat, if I'm, you know, weed eating or something and looking down, well, you know, now my neck's exposed. Not with this, which is kind of a downfall to this one, because this one doesn't even cover my full neck. So that can be a bummer. But you'll get something like this for around 50 bucks, you know, got pockets on it, but these things are freaking amazing. I'm not kicking indoors with this. I'm not doing battle drills in the woods with this, all right? This is leisurely hiking, outside chores when it's just hot as hell. Now let's talk about another shirt you guys have been seeing recently. This is a Helicon Tex, I don't know, field shirt? Let's see. The hell do they call it? Woodsman shirt. This reminds me of our like BDU top, all right? It's the same material mixture, same weight, same breathability, with improvements, right? Because our BDU shit's like, shit, man, late 80s, early 90s. All right, and the main difference is it's all buttons, that's awesome, except for your pockets down here. There's actual little side hand pockets, which also have mesh in them to, you know, if you've got a pocket on a jacket you're wearing outside, no matter how light it is, no matter what kind of mesh there is in it, it's gonna affect the breathability a little bit. But the mesh kind of helps mitigate how bad it's gonna affect it. Big old freaking robust, oversized buttons, that's good stuff. Reinforcement where it should be. So this is like something that I would put in their bushcraft line. It's FR capabilities because of the cotton nylon mixture. So this is definitely a shirt you could be crawling on rough stuff with, you know, freaking hauling bricks around, all kinds of like tough, badass man stuff. Lighting your little ferro rod fires, laying next to fires, you'll be great. All right, so I wore this the other day doing some outside stuff, about 90 plus degrees. What do you think? Yeah, it's hot as shit, okay? But I was doing a lot of rougher stuff, dealing with possible sparks and stuff. So you need this. You're not gonna be grinding on metal or anything like that in a combat shirt. That's a bad idea. Let's see, so I don't miss anything. They also got these big old mesh zippers under the pits that you can open up, and it's pretty long. That's good stuff. Let's talk about another thing. So we got our base weight shirts. You know, a lot of people are doing the merino stuff. The old army, what we call silk weight, ninja top. You can actually wear that under a combat shirt. So let's say like in Afghanistan, you know, it'd be cold as shit in the morning while we're getting our brief and getting loaded up and everything. And so I wanted to have something under that, right? So the plate carrier gives me warmth, combat shirts on that, and then I got my ninja top under it. It's about as warm as you could get, especially if you're planning for movement. So we do our morning movement. It's cold as shit, everybody's freezing. I got that one extra layer under me. And yes, you can wear a base layer under this if you want to in the winter. Why? Because unlike some of the IG pictures, this should not be skin tight, okay? You want hot weather clothing to be a little bit looser. Same goes for your combat shirt. So when I see these guys, you know, trying to show off, flexing in their shit, and it's all skin tight, you're kind of defeating the purpose. You need loose shit for airflow and stuff. So that also means you got a little bit of extra room to throw your freaking ninja top under it. And then as you start to warm up, the patrol goes down, the freaking sun starts to crest the hills, and you start to warm up a little bit, well, you know, if you can, if it's a secure environment, pull your shit off real quick, throw that silk weight down in your friggin' cargo pocket, get your shit back on, and now you're good to go for the rest of the patrol. You get set in for an OP or you get stagnant for a long time, put it all back on. So just something to throw out there. All right, well, I've run my mouth enough. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know what you thought. And if I missed something, a difference between all these types of shirts and purposes and everything, put that down there. I'll see you all in the next one. Out.